Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the close. And we have a pretty big day today because, of course, we have a bit of a pickup here in the markets. But is everything good or is it bad? Well, can anyone say long leg doji on the futures market anyway? Here we have, obviously, a bit of a pickup since the Russian stuff. As we know, this is going to be a constantly evolving situation. So when we get a long leg doji, which is obviously a high, a low, an open, and a close, it kind of makes some kind of sense. Let's have a look now at the 15-minute chart just into the close and consider what has happened so far. So we've bounced, we've then sold off aggressively, we've then bounced again, and then of course where we are. So let's now look at the Nasdaq. So we need to go to the NDX to see the actual trade itself. There we go. That's much cleaner. See how the real market's totally different to the futures market in terms of the way it ends up looking. Remember, we were open in the futures before the Tuesday. So here we've got a pretty good rejection zone for the market to possibly be selling off. We go back to the daily, just have a quick look at it. And again, it's showing the bullishness, the bearishness, the high, the low, the open, the close. And this is good news for anyone really trying to find direction in the next couple of days because we now have our levels. It's pretty easy. We have our low. There it is. So we need a 13,740 for the bears to get full control. Market probably very bad shape if it gets underneath there. And if you're feeling bullish in the market, it's going to be as easy as probably looking for closures above here for the day trades. The good thing about long leg doji is it means indecision. And when we have indecision, then if we end up getting a decision, being the high or the low is taken out, we tend to get a little bit of runway. And I think that probably makes sense here for these trades. So welcome everyone to the close stream. Obviously, we started a few minutes late here today. Sorry about that. But there is still plenty of good information to talk through. So we'll continue to go through every single one of the trades that we've been talking about in the last couple of weeks. First one, Nasdaq. Long leg doji, probably expect it to close like this. Let's just quickly look at the sectors that are performing well and which sectors are performing poorly. So we'll bring up that right now, because it is interesting always to know which sectors have been doing well for the day. Kind of gives us a bit of an idea on what Wall Street might be thinking about doing on the next session as well. And so far today, we have fairly strong movement in the not really any particular sector. Tans the bottoms. Let me just bring that on the screen here. So this is Coifins, good little free tool. So we've got here semiconductors, slightly best. But then we also have XLP, which is consumer staples, and XLU kind of hovering around. TAN doing the worst, down 3.15%. Jets down, gold flat or down 0.74. So yeah, the rally in the morning was short-lived in terms of what happened here with most of the sectors. Let's now scroll across to the SPX, because as we know, that's actually the most important market to be looking at. And things look very, very similar. So body closure actually might come in underneath any previous body closure. I'm still leaning towards the short here over the long. That's pretty much why I chucked in the sell the rip kind of scenario because it's still more likely than not that we are probably going bearish. And the main reason is going to be things like this. So effectively here we've got a very, very, very nice rejection off the 50 exponential at the moment. We know that that is the big key zone. Again, high, low, open, close, all at the same level. Rue Shady probably puts it the good way. You can describe today as a side trading with a little bit of extra to spare. Yeah, I think if you're in the futures market, you would have been pretty happy with yourself, though, because a few people in the Discord room got this. If you haven't joined the Discord room, you probably should jump in. There's a link in the description. Make sure you jump into the Discord room, at least get into the free one. And there was a trade that happened through the session in terms of coming in, where we got like a really nice lightning bolt kind of move here on the US 100. And depending on the actual futures that you were trading, because some were closed a little bit more than they should have been, there were some really good opportunity. So here's a futures market that was open for a lot longer. And notice how you really got that base. You got that test, formed a base, breached through. Now, if you had this one, you can kind of see why now the market picked up this area as well. And I would expect probably a little bit of this to just continue to sell off here a little bit at the end of the day, just to make sure that for them, I feel like for the market, it's really an indecision day. So there's not going to be much decision here. But look at that base, really nice trading here, especially when you see like a pullback like this candle here and you see the movement up. So that was a great rip rally that certainly had a lot of potential in it. It makes sense again. We've got this flip-flopping stuff going on from Russia, and that news constantly evolves. If you're a news trader, it's going to be tough for you in the next couple of days because you're going to get a lot of information. It's going to be like this going on, and you won't know which way you're going. But yeah, it just shows you when you have the futures markets and you have markets that are open for longer periods of time, sometimes there are some really nice trades. And that was a great base into a rip. And I thought that was a fantastic trade. So well done to them. Let's move over to IWM because this is where things get sick. Okay. And here it is. So again, it is technically a long leg doji, but is it underneath or has it broken out to now create the next leg? And this is the problem we have, everyone. This is why I'm leaning towards the bearish side. So we'll look at the DAX as well in a second. But basically, we have a very big rejection candle in terms of it's going through. It is a long leg doji, high, low, open, close. But you see follow through in the next session through all the markets. And what's this starting to lean towards? The full move. The full move takes us back to 170. This is obviously like the lifeblood of the markets in terms of the small cap companies. And that could push us into the weekly 200, which is sitting around this 172, 173. So I think the thesis here is pretty sound. Also, thank you very much to the 716 people joining us. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you very much for sticking with us today. Alex Armin says 180 million just bought on Amazon calls. Cool. Gary Saini says, for newbies, think of this year like 2018 when it was all trade war all the time. Same as this year, news driven until it isn't anymore. Yes, I remember the trade war stuff that ended up pushing it through quite low around the Christmas period. There wasn't much Christmas cheer. Let's just say that. There was not much Christmas cheer. All right, let's keep scrolling through. So IWM definitely pointing towards the negative side. And then I want to go to the DAX here because I think the DAX, or first I wanted to look at Morgan Stanley. So here's Morgan Stanley. Now, you'll notice I put it in yesterday's video. Max Pain, big important level here for Morgan Stanley towards the short or the buy. So certainly works into the thesis. And then if we bring up the DAX and we use the futures here, what you'll notice is that the DAX also has a mega breakout that's going to now confirm with US volume. So that is, we've got two kind of max pains up here where it's broken out. You've got this beautiful support that's been reached. And remember, this is the index in Europe, in Germany. So we have a support, becomes resistance, obviously role reversal. It's another reason why we are leaning into the bearish concept. Obviously, you trade price action. So the price action today, at least with the futures, was pointing towards a potential bullish move. But the price action coming into the end of the day, as we know, is mostly indecision, leaning towards a hint of most likely bearish action. And the reason why is because we're at the support, testing it again. We've tested this a lot over here on the left. We've tested it now on the right. And coming into it, nothing looks good. I mean, it just doesn't. Like the weekly looks bad. The weekly looks bad. We're not being biased. It is what it is. This is what the price action is telling you. I mean, if you're looking at this saying, oh, I think it's super bullish, it's a day-by-day trade, that's for sure. But the overall picture still looks negative. What do you guys think? Bear or bull over the next coming weeks? Let's see what you think. Andrew Sayer says, diamond hands, boys. Yeah. Haven't heard that saying for a while. Thanks very much, Bears versus Bulls Media. Smash a like because Tom is too humble to remind you. I'll remind people. So everyone here is going a bit bear. What did we have here from Gary? Gary says, Tom, isn't this the fourth, fifth touch on the 4,300 support? Normally 4th, 5th is when it breaks. Yes. Oh, that's correct. Yep. It's puts mania. Yeah. So I think that is one of the big problems. There are a lot of puts or still in the market. They kind of dissipate next week. So that's really the only, I guess you would say, main case towards the strength in the market is that maybe they don't want to pay them off. But look, Wall Street's managed to really steal a lot of money from puts that are in the market over the last couple of weeks. And I think they pulled in a lot of calls over here, regardless, on a lot of stocks. We saw Nvidia get a lot of calls and all that type of stuff. And then the rejection was fairly large. Let's scroll through a couple of stocks here, though. Have a look at what's actually happening on the day. So we talked about TAN, the solar not doing so well, down 5.2%. Square, small stocks under 95. Oh, look at that. There's been no recovery yet on this stock. Jack Dorsey. You want to know the one that I was scared of when I heard was this little one. Another day. Now, has this had earnings yet, or is earnings coming out soon? I don't know. I haven't actually looked yet. After the close. Oh my God. I'm scared for this. I hope it can outperform its price right now. It's fundamentally cheap. But my God, they have not executed well now for what every earnings call. So it's just been a steady decline into hell. Kathy Wood will be looking at this and saying, please. Because if this one here is very scary as the old T-Doc. So we keep scrolling through, and most of this, a lot of stocks down here. Twilio up. That was one that had a decent announcement on it, I guess. However, it's still declined. And look at this weekly, still declined. It's not great there. Nvidia down 1.21%. Be a little bit careful here with Nvidia, guys. Just remember, even if you love the stock, the price action, especially if it gets underneath that little wick there, is going to most likely melt down to 200. So all of this has to do with these big rejection weeks. If you're feeling bullish on Nvidia, you may have to just wait until it gets past here to be feeling great about the world. Because if it does, yeah, the market's faked out everybody towards the short and long live the bull. And it goes up because this is a very strong signal as we breach past it. But right now, again, price action is dictating here weakness, weakness, weakness. And if we get follow through, $200 in sights of NVIDIA very fast. I know a lot of you always watching these types of ones. Let's have a quick look at old Tesla. That's down pretty hard today, 4.27 down. Came down to 802. So I'm assuming a few people would have bought this, which is fair enough. That's a good level to have a go at the zone. So obviously last time 794, but 800 is a pretty big deal. So it rallied. Oh, you even got a good short in it. So it rallied up, then shorted straight off that level all the way to 800. This is why people like this stock. Look at that swing for the day, 6.48% if you got the whole move. And then now it's tried to rally back and it's hit that 830, which is not a bad little small take profit if you were day trading. You go to the 15-minute. Oh, very nice. It's actually a little scalp in here. Little base, little tweezer. Very nice tweezer on the 15-minute. And a good level to be taking profit for the end of the day if you're a day trader. That's why I quite like, even over here is nice little short. I like Tesla for this reason. Tesla sometimes provides some really nice tweezers, some really nice rejections. Yeah, this is there's some more tweezers that have happened over here on the 15-minute. Yeah, very, very good. I mean, obviously it's not huge money in terms of swing, but it's certainly in this time and in the last couple of hours of the session, it's got a nice little trade here that goes through. So if anyone got that, congrats to them. If you're still in it, I won't blame you, but I do think that the market is still looking weak overall. So a lot of these trades need to be, fast. And why? Because the VIX is 29.85, which is still very, very high. Durgesh says, someone on CNBC said she is playing poker with her cards faced up. Oh, that's in regards to Kathy Wood, I assume. Yes, because she allows everybody to see what she's doing, I guess is what that's got to do with. The VIX, funnily enough, has got a crazy trend line on it. On this 15-minute. Look at that. Bang, bang, bang. I mean, I don't really say the VIX is incredibly technical, but my God, it really does have a crazy trend line on it. All right, let's keep scrolling through here. We've got 6 minutes till the close. If there's anything in particular we need to be looking at, please spam it in the chat now because we'll check it out. I'll have a quick look at PLTR. Look, I don't like this stock that much, mostly because I have a rule, and that rule states that if something is new in the market, I like to wait for it all to play its way out. Now, technically, it has flagged to the downside. You don't want to know where that would go. I doubt it will go that low. But yeah, weakness continuing to come in here. Short sellers just punishing the stock. I don't know much about the fundamentals. Some people said that it's not that bad. Obviously, when you break it down, they've got I think a little bit of lack of growth in government, but that is to be expected. Government's more lumpy. It's kind of like all in from the government departments, and then they float around doing nothing, and then it's all in again. So I think it can take time to get government clients. You could see the next level being maybe around that $9. But yeah, Palantir very, very low here. Pretty sad for a lot of people. Silver Miner says Tesla is done. Not from a trading, it isn't. So people will come up with the concept here of this higher rate environment and this inflation will start to put pressure on Tesla's valuation. I could agree with that concept. And I think if you breach under this 800, for a lot of Tesla people, this is going to be pretty scary because what you're doing then is you've gotten under, well, obviously this trend line's been breached fully now. This is the first day that we've breached this trend line down, which is not good. And you think about the weekly here on Tesla, that's putting you under weekly 50 territory. And Tesla actually has not been under weekly 50 territory in a long time. So this would be the first real crack of Tesla week. This is a good test for it to find out what happens. And I think a lot of people may be surprised, even with the ramping of the company, considering how every other one of these stocks has gone recently, as in stocks that have been performing on lower earnings. And yes, Tesla makes money, but still lower earnings than maybe its valuation. I think it's held up amazingly well. So if it does end up, I mean, this candle here is pretty brutal. And if the rest of the market goes through, I'd be careful around here because we get through $800. Where's the next stop? What, 700? Where's the next stop underneath that? 600? The first break of the 50 exponential moving average since the start, which is in line with the market. Andreas Johnson says, if Tesla dumps, I'm happy. If Tesla rips, I'm happy. I got time. Oh, that's good, man. You got some trade options there. Someone said DraftKings up 7.46% today. Still looks pretty sick, though, on a chart. So earnings has come out, which is good because that's over and done with now. Dumped itself, and then now it's got some recovery in it. Look, this is starting to get, you would think, relatively, decently priced. And 7.56 billion, which is a lot better than it was when it was trading at $60, $70. I think I once got asked the question, would you buy, what was it? It was like invest, buy, and trade. No, invest, sell, and trade. And I said I'd invest in Beam, I think it was, because I was only given 3 choices. Sell this thing and trade Chewy. How did Chewy end up going? I don't even know. And unfortunately, that's because it was one of those companies that wasn't making money. It's very much easier. Yeah, so Chewy is still very weak as well. But with DraftKings, it's getting into the zone. I think look, there's a lot of interest in it here, and if you have a longer term vision, maybe that is the place that you want to be doing it. So markets coming into the close, we're still just hovering around. Just quickly show the last 15 minutes of trade so you can see it. A little bit of short, a little bit of long, closing with the long leg doji, lots of volume in the session. Let's have a look at gold coming into the close as well. So gold has held around this 1910, hit 1910 perfectly. That is our obvious take profit here for this particular commodity. Price action coming in is quite strong. So you got buy week, buy week. Obviously, if you are feeling bad about gold, it's underneath that week here would be fairly short. I'd say it goes back to 1870. But at this stage, it looks like it does want to break through. If it can, and it gets through 1910, then we'll look for the pullbacks back to that level, and then 1960 becomes the next level. Some of my favorites probably are things like Palladium. I think Palladium opens up a pretty nice technical here from the aspect of it's been technical in the past. We've got a nice little resistance and support, good little bit of trade. Volume is through the roof on this particular one, and if it can be allowed through 2400, it could really boost here. Could really boost. So Palladium also opening itself up. Here we go. We just closed up there on the market, so we'll go back over to the US 500. It's sitting on 4306. So let's look at the SPX there to put it in perspective. It's actually a close to a new low over previous ones. Not bullish, really. Next day trade session, I would be looking for closures, like movements below this low, and the algorithm will get in at that point. What will happen is if you end up closing or moving below the session, the algorithm will get hold of it. The VIX would spike at that point if it did it quickly, and then it would continue to float its way down. Nasdaq, probably the better trade if you want the bigger percentages. All right, let's read some of this. Asif says this market sucks. Yes. Well, that's all depending on what's going on. Hot Potato Trader says Dr. Copper. So copper, pretty important to always be looking at as well. We want to be doing that. Copper just sitting on the resistance. So nothing too much with copper at this stage. User, wow, big donation. Thank you very much, sir. User $20. Thank you very much. Hey, mate, how important question. How do we follow price action in Oz when we're asleep during the action USA hours? I struggle with this a lot. So you can't follow you can't follow the day trade price action, user. It's not possible. You have to basically create two strategies. So I found the best one to be around the open. Now that's also obviously also tough during this period of year in the US because it's 1:30 a.m. for us here in Australia to trade this market. But yes, if you can trade the open 30 minutes before to 1 hour after. I teach this in my private mentoring stuff, what I do there. So that is certainly something that I would suggest that you look at. So like open strategies can be very good. Focusing on fake outs and really traps that are set for retail traders. And then the close can be actually quite good because you are more looking at the day/swing. The problem is during high volatility times like this, day trading or swing trading is really off the table. So usually you can swing, but when it's above 20, the VIX above 20, very difficult to swing. So the American market becomes more of a day by day kind of, you look for the reversal signs on the daily time frame. You look for what I call anyway, the recovery method. Again, something I teach. And then all you have to do then is just look at the close. So I like to have a strategy that's based around the close if possible for Australia, because it's really impossible to be here every day at 2 a.m. in the morning. It's a great question. That's what I would do. Open strategy or straight close strategy, no day trade itself. You just won't be able to do it. You know, the Americans here, you guys can get it done, but we can't get it done in Australia. It's not possible. The other thing you can do is obviously trade the Australian market in seasonality, which works quite well. Thank you very much for the donation. But yes, the 1 hour open is a great strategy if you know what you're doing. And the close is more for your longer term recovery plays. And they, when I say longer term, your 1 month plays, your 2 month plays, your 3 month plays. The reason you have to go with that is because if you don't, you'll be stuck looking at the charts all the time. And that will make you have panda eyes. Like you'll be very tired. Darren Jones, $10. Thank you very much, Darren. And again, thank you, user. Darren always supports us here. It's good. Good. Thank you very much. He says, hi, Tom. Triple Q looks like it will close under the 340, 342 today. Which do you think would be more likely? A gap up tomorrow to break 342 or a retest of 334? So he's talking about the SPY here in terms of levels. Is he? No, QQQ. Oh, my bad. What am I talking about? There we go, QQQ. Before we break the 342. So which is going to be more likely? All right. So let's go and have a look at the day, which is here we are. So again, high, low, open, close. So the old Nasdaq sits in the middle of nowhere land. And you're asking what's more likely. Well, let's go to the 15-minute price action. Have a look here. So is it more likely to be up a little bit? Gap up to break 342. Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't think gapping up is the best scenario for most of the bears. The Putin news train continues to roll. So yeah, that's going to be one of those ones where that's tough to really guess here a little bit. I guess I feel like there's a trend going down here in terms of the trend line. We've currently seen weakness. You're asking, do you think it gaps up here? It might put pressure on this level again during the futures market, but I would say that we end up being flat to bearish coming in. Yeah. It's a complete guess though, man. The situation changes every couple of hours, but my longer term bias right now is short. So that's kind of my trap for this market at the stage. If I was looking at the QQQ, I'd probably bring on the futures to get the better levels. So I'd go like a US 100, get a futures that was open for a while. So in this case, Pepper. Yeah, Pepperstone was open for a little bit more. So I'd get like the levels. And I know this isn't the QQQ, but for me, you know, I'm thinking this probably holds it down for now. This 14.1. So I think that it's more likely that we get a bit of a rally after hours and then probably sell off into the open tomorrow. And then during the open, we rally and then short. That would be more likely. Like basically, I feel like the start of the session might rally and then short. That would be a good trap for the market. These are pure hypotheticals, though. Very weird, a very tough question there. And then in terms of the next level we would go for the QQQ, it would be a breakdown at that level. So basically, we would be underneath 334 by the end of the day if it was busting down. New low. Obviously, you can see how important this level is. Support. You know, all signs are pointing towards series of lower highs. Weakness coming through here in this market, unfortunately. Thank you very much to the over 1,000 people joining us. Appreciate each and every one of you. It's great to have you here. This is a very tough kind of question because obviously you're trying to predict the future in a market that's moving like this all the time. But we do have a slightly negative bias. You'll notice the US 2-year also spiked a little bit here today, went up to 1.56 and then has come back down, but 1.44 to 1.55. So concerns renewed for the 2-year. And really the main thing you want to be watching right now is yield curve inversion, which by the day becomes more likely. God, I hope it doesn't happen. Yield curve inversion is not a good thing. Bad. Get down. Slow down. Okay? I don't like, I have a bullish bias on this, obviously, if this does end up continuing to crash as well for the medium to long. And when I say medium to long, like the next couple of years. And if this starts inverting, it's like the canary in the coal mine. You don't want that, guys, not unless you really want a big bear. And the problem is it's an early signal. So it's not going to happen straight away. What it's showing you is full weakness is coming back into the market. And usually it's around 12 to 24 months early. But the canary is not good. So let's not allow the canary to come back into the market if we can. We'll do crypto in just a second as well. So let's have a look at US oil. Now, I'm on the table, I guess, many times here saying that I think this is crap and I wouldn't be looking at it at all. A lot of people probably trading it because this Russia stuff is, pushes it up, pushes it down, incredible volatility. It's very risky to your account. So obviously, I was kind of out of it over here. The reason why is because I thought that it hit our target. It exceeded that target a little bit, and then it's rejected a bunch, and then it keeps rejecting, and it's really just volatile based on the news. So each time the news comes out, it goes up, and then it comes right back down. If you're looking to short it, I mean, you're probably already in shorts. Hopefully you've got the safety net of your previous highs or even here to protect you. But yeah, this little area in here was probably where a lot of people started shorting it. I just think it's too risky because the news is going to be flip-flop all the time. And that will really create much more difficulty here. Gary Sony says, Tom, here is one for you. Trade, sell, invest. Oh, Nvidia, Apple, Google. All right, well, let's let the chat answer this as well. So this is a trade, sell, invest. Chat, what would you do? Now, that's a tough one because you've got three very good companies. You've got, obviously, the traditional investment being Apple in those, the traditional. Do you want to have, particularly something else? Do you think something else is going to do better than Apple? Oh, it's really tough. I like all of those companies, but I particularly, which is the best trade? Probably Apple, Nvidia, not Google. Google is not the best trade. So I have to therefore trade one of either Apple or Nvidia. Be interesting to see what the chat says. Right now, I'd sell Nvidia. If you're saying right now, I'd sell Nvidia, I'd trade Apple, and I'd invest in Google. There you go. And you might say, well, Tom, are you a madman? Why would you sell Nvidia? Well, I'm just going with the price action. Those rejection wicks still look pretty nasty to me. Plus, this is a high valuation stock. And we know that even Tesla and Nvidia are both high valuation stocks, but they've held up amazing because of their fundamentals in terms of growth. But I still think that this is the most volatile one. Hot Potato says, nice picks, Tom. Yep. Somebody says, huge bull run coming. Well, I hope so. And let's have a look now at the old TDOC. Someone says it looks like it's going crazy up, down, all around. So TDOC earnings is coming out. This is a question of whether they've been able to, I guess, reduce their costs in acquisition. That was something that was in the last report, if I remember rightly. And also, I think that the market's losing faith in the management team. If they do bad here, which they may be, they're gonna have to fire some staff. Like they're gonna have to reshuffle their board. They've got to do something because they're not executing. Let's face it, they're not executing. Down 2.83 was down 4. This is the fun of earnings. You see it float all over the place. Thank you very much to the 1,000 people joining us today. Appreciate it. What did everybody else say? Silver Mine says, Goog, head and shoulders. Okay. I just don't want to invest in Apple. All right. I just don't want to. Not when it's so high. Let's have a look at the Goog. Sure. I don't know about head and shoulders. Head and shoulders, generally, you want like a right shoulder that's a little bit lower. Obviously, news pushed it through, and there's the head. The Google is probably still. I remain to my picks here. $2.6 down, and TDOC moving around still there. We'll go through some other stocks. PayPal, someone asked, it's sitting around $100. Still no reversal. We got close to forming base over here, which was almost pulled through, but it didn't. That's why you've got to wait for confirmation, guys, and scale in if you are picking up speculative kind of lows. But unfortunately, it then busted all the way back down and it's sitting at about $100. Now, is that cheap or is that any level in particular? Other than it being a psychological, there's no particular reason why we think this turns around just yet. Yeah, so nothing there. 4.4%. Chris says TDOC puts. Are you covering commodities? I'll cover them in the video, but we've already looked at US oil, gold, palladium, and we'll do BTC in a second. David Dembowski says he wants to sell Apple. If TDOC does bad, Kathy would be screwed. Well, it's not looking good so far. 4.9 down. Terry M says, forget those, buy and hold Microsoft. You're not wrong. Microsoft is the biggest moat and the easiest way of constantly getting growing earnings. Oh, that's bad. 6% down now. The old TDOC. Oh, Albert S goes with the same as me. Cool. Jess Yates says, is it true the market has destination already in mind? News is just a smoke show. Relatively, yes. I mean, some news does make a change, and sometimes the market overreacts to certain things. I can remember when Trump got elected, the market sold off hard, and then by the end of the day, it was up hard. It was pretty crazy day. That one, I feel like the market didn't really know what was going on, and all the big investors went and took advantage of it. That being said, the way that the markets float right now, if you actually know a few high net wealth people, I've heard that people are getting notes slipped to them saying, let's wait for like 3800s in terms of bigger investments and go hard at that area. And now that could be complete falsity. I don't have it direct from the source, but a few people have been saying around that 3800 has been called. And we've also seen a lot of downgrades coming in for the S&P 500 from the big firms. So they're all still calling bullishness by the end of the year, but they're starting to get a little bit soft on how much higher the markets are going to go, is in like it's only like 1 to 2% above the previous all-time high. So they're softening their rates, and a few people are starting to come in with this idea that the Fed, remember that I do have this one for sure, that there's a lot of sent out documents to private clients saying that they believe the Fed is instigating a lot of instability and volatility through not really giving any proper guidance about what they're doing. And that is therefore playing into their hands, because they basically want us to create a bit of an asset sell-off here. And that's going to therefore hopefully help dissipate some of their problems. Gary Sony says, Tom, what's it with everyone eyeing 3,800? I feel like Wall Street bottom us at 3,900. Yeah, I wouldn't target exactly 3,800. You would be absolutely, if you're an investor, you'd be scaling your action around 4,000 to 3,800. What do you think? Yeah, I tend to agree, but again, that's what we're looking at. And Hot Potato Tray says 3,800 is my buy area. Yes. Is high percentage of retail good or bad for Tesla? Great for day trading, great for breakouts, bad for when they put runs on it. Because, of course, we've seen Tesla in the past, and I feel like people haven't really experienced the Tesla hell for a while. And you might say, but Tom, haven't we already experienced, a huge decline here in Tesla, 33%? Yes, but these particular previous sell-offs, there's a 39. This one here, I remember this one quite well. Like this, obviously the pandemic one, that was a 62, 63% sell-off. And Tesla's been well known to have these kind of aggressive 40, 50%, even up to 60% sells. So it's a blessing and a curse having a lot of retail traders. It creates runs on the market that can be very, very aggressive towards the downside. But when you get new breakouts to peaks, e.g. here, when it's been consolidating for a while, the run is like nothing else. I love the squeeze on Tesla, and that's purely caused by retail traders going nuts. Moo Talk says, I miss the days when we used to see epic squeezes all the time. It's a different type of trading. I mean, I can't say I miss that day. But yeah, it's only because those types of trades, aren't going to hold up. And if you have a market where it's epic squeezes all over the place, it's hard to replicate in a large account. Like it's easy money, possibly for a little bit, but it's not a replicatable business system over the long term. And you're probably seeing that now because it doesn't come up very often. All right, let's do crypto here. 38,000 almost for the old Bitcoin. It's done better than the other coins here in terms of recovery. That being said, the market looks pretty sick. I believe Bitcoin's really just coming with the stock market. Most people think that as well. You've got the high, you've got the low, you've got the open, you've got the close, long leg doji. Wouldn't be surprised at all for us to test 30,000. Weakness candle off the 46K, which was previous support, becoming resistance. We then get the follow through. I mean, if you're bullish on it, you need to look for it to get back above 40K, and then you're taking like that bull move. At the same time, you need the stock market to also be going bullish. I feel like crypto is in a really tough place. It's not trying to FUD it. I just think it's in a tough place. And none of these moves, every one of them, yes, they're all on supports and stuff. Like here, KSM's even lower. But it's going to move with the market, guys. It's going to move with the stock market more than the crypto market. This kind of reminds me of 2018 in some ways. In 2018, what actually happened? We ended up getting kind of a very hideous year of obviously investing in the old coin, and the coin ended up hitting the lowest point into that 2019 period. So you got here 2018 into 19, we end up hitting a 3K. So a lot of the interest came out of it. We had rising interest rates, we had volatility in the stock market. This is what a lot of bigger investors are looking at as well. They're like saying, okay, I'm out in whatever time it might be, January or even before. I mean, they were out in November in some ways, but maybe January they're starting to get out. I feel like we could be going into a bit of a bad period here for crypto. If you've been around for a long enough time, it's got some of the hallmarks. The last point of really big support here is 30,000. So you need to hope that if this market goes underneath here, this low, which will trigger shorts, that if it does come back down to 30, which seems likely, that it bounces like it previously did. Gary Sony said, Tom, wouldn't Tesla drop hard now? It snapped its 2020 trend line. Yeah, Tesla's in all sorts of trouble. The trend line 2021, if you go all the way back to here, that's the trend line that he's talking about, 2020 to 2021, beautiful trend line. Today, theoretically, it snapped it from a daily perspective for the first time. And we've used this pretty well to pick up some previous nice picks around this area. I agree, it's weak. The real problem is underneath 800. So Tesla's 823 in the post, but if it gets underneath this 800, watch out. It's going to be bad. And again, that's with the rest of the market as well. It's all bad. L Irene is saying we could be looking at stagflation. Yes. Percy, hello. Good to have you here. When bulls like Michael Saylor are close to crying, then BTC might turn around. Doesn't he say it's worth $1 million every week? The premium is the first indicator, yeah? Mm-hmm. How low do we go below the weekly 50? Best thing to do, SM, would be to look at the S&P 500 at that point. And thank you very much for the 400 likes. Appreciate it, guys. PayPal, already took a look at it. Unfortunately, we don't have a base on PayPal. What's this sand? Sand US dollar. All you know is you're on support. Obviously, it jumped out not that long ago, last year in 21. Had a big jump. Technically, it's just on support, though. That's all you can really say. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll make a video a little bit later, guys. Thank you very much for joining us today. We'll go through all of the main things, like obviously the gold, the oil. We'll let the market kind of cool off here a little. The story of the day is really the long leg doji of the market. So that is that we have a high and a low and kind of like all in between. So if you look at things like the QQQ, you'll see the market action here. Now in the post market, it's up 0.47. This is still going to be a news trade with the Putin stuff, hour to hour. And I feel like we've probably put in I think we've put in a very good place for us to be able to say, okay, bullish or bearish bets on the table in terms of the high, low, open, close scenario. What that means, long leg doji, you see follow through, you have to be bullish in this sentiment, at least for that point. And then if you see the bearish sentiment come through, watch out below, because that's going to be a very big negative sign here for the markets. So stay safe out there, guys. It's a day-by-day scenario. Remember, be fast, be nimble, day trade if possible, scalp if possible. Make your investment decisions if possible based on your levels and zones and convictions and all of that. We did see TDOC probably come out with a result by now. I haven't seen the TDOC result. No one's posted in the room. Maybe it's there. But it's down 3.68%. If they didn't execute again, God. Yeah, but that's why sometimes when the trend is bad, you've got to be careful. And really what you're doing most of the time is you're trying to spot the turnaround. And we haven't seen one, or we haven't seen any turnaround really since it tried over here. And then earnings, of course, was disappointing towards it. I know it looked like it was good, but when you actually looked at the earnings, it was less than stellar. So we'll find out how that one plays out, and we'll come back tomorrow with obviously another close and a video a little bit later on. Thanks so much for subscribing. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the donations, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Jump into the Discord or follow us over on FX Evolution on Twitter. We have been posting up a few things, posted some cool stuff. By the way, check out that futures action straight after the Russian news yesterday. There was no market open, but look at that. It went 13,376. Wow. That wasn't going to last long, but we post, cool stuff like this, which obviously shows all the previous things. So yeah, thanks so much. Catch you for now.